Welcome to the Attractions Group podcast alongside Ryan Sir. I'm Don Helbig. This is episode number 107. Ryan, how you doing this week?
I'm very stressed because I am leaving for my trip down to Florida to go to Halloween Horror Nights and Disney and all that stuff here in less than 48 hours. So if you see a mess of like luggage and stuff behind me, please don't judge.
No one's going to judge that. But I know you've been excited about this trip.
Yeah, really excited. I've been watching the IP movies. A Quiet Place, I only got through a little bit of it and I thought it was boring, but I've watched several of the Insidious films now, and I've watched the Ghostbusters. I watched Ghostbusters Frozen Empire when it first came out on Netflix, and then I was hanging out with my friends that we're going down there with, and they hadn't seen it yet, so I watched it again the other night. But that's a good movie. I recommend it regardless. It's pretty fun. You're going somewhere too this weekend, right?
Yep, I'm going to be going to Holiday World for their Friday Night Live. It'll be the second time out of their 3 weeks that they've done that I'm going there. Night Rides on the Voyage calls to me, so I'll be going there. And then next week, I'll be at Kennywood for the Golden Ticket Awards.
Perfect. Make sure you give us some live coverage and, cut the speeches halfway through like they do for the politicians and stuff. But before we continue, we have a very special guest tonight, but make sure that you hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Apple, Google, Spotify, and so on for your audio needs. And follow us on X at attractions_GRP. Don, tell us about our guest tonight.
Well, we're very excited about this guest. We've been wanting to have them on for the longest time, but it's always about timing, and our timing really couldn't have been better. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But we'd like to welcome to the Attractions Group podcast the Director of Public Relations at Hersheypark, Quinn Bryner.
Hey, Quinn.
Nice to be here with you this evening. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we're thrilled. So now, Quinn, you're with Hersheypark, the sweetest place on earth, from what I understand.
Yes.
Tell us about yourself and how you got and how long. Let's say how long you've been at Hersheypark. What's your journey been like for there?
Sure. Well, I think I'm legally required to say the sweetest place on earth at least once a day. So thanks for checking that box for me.
I got you covered.
Yeah, thank you. So I have been going to the park as a guest for years. So my parents like to say that I've been gearing up for this job for my entire life, but I've only officially been director of PR for the last 8 years. So my role is to tell the story of Hershey. I oversee communications for our entire destination. So that can look like media relations, social media, influencer marketing, whatever our brands need. And what an honor and a privilege it is to have this job. I really consider it my dream job ever since I was a little girl, not too far from the park.
Well, Quinn, you had really big news this week. You announced the world's tallest screaming swing ride.
Oh, and doesn't it look so
next year?
Good. Thanks for sharing that photo.
Yes, it looks amazing. So tell us about the ride.
Yeah, so hot off the presses. I think my voice is still a little sore from all the excitement of yesterday's announce. So Twizzlers Twisted Gravity will be the tallest screaming swing in the world when it opens here next summer. We are thrilled to work with S&S on this. So guests are going to ascend 137 feet up in the air, reach speeds of 68 miles per hour, and then experience some great zero Gs as they fly over Spring Creek. So if you've been to Hersheypark, it's in the Hollow region, close to Super Duper Looper, Great Bear. You're going to have some incredible, never before seen views of the park. And of course, we go all in with that Twizzler theming, as you can tell in the photo there. So obviously the twisted part kind of reveals what will happen to your sense of gravity on the ride, but then it's also some themed experiences in terms of where you sit. So we won't share the gondolas yet. We might do that here soon, but they will be Twizzler themed. So think black licorice, cherry, strawberry, and chocolate. So we couldn't be more excited, and it seems like our guests are ready to add this to our collection.
Yeah, I mean, these screaming swings are some of my favorite flat rides. I love to see, especially that they're getting bigger and better and taller. That's so exciting. But, Hersheypark has got a very storied history. Can you just kind of brief us on the evolution of, Hersheypark from 1906 heading up to, let's say the Twizzlers Twisted Gravity, just to give it a time frame?
My gosh, gentlemen, how long do we have? Storied history is exactly what we're so proud of. So if we think back to, of course, our founder, Milton S. Hershey, who started what would become Hersheypark as some picnic grounds and leisure space for the employees of his chocolate factory. We like to think that he would be incredibly proud of where we are today. So continue to grow over time. We got our first coaster in 1923. We've added, now we have 15, we have 70 attractions, a full water park, a zoo included with tickets. But really the heart of our experience is Mr. Hershey and his legacy. And our core purpose is still the Milton Hershey School, just as he intended, which, we could probably do a better job of helping people understand how critical that is to our community and what makes him so unique, dating all the way back, as you said, to 1906.
And I understand that, one of the reasons the park came to be was he was looking for a place for his employees to go to be able to spend time with their families.
Yeah, absolutely. So community was his focus and remains ours today. So all employees of Hersheypark receive free admission, just as they did, kind of back then. And he was really one of the first to focus on a model community and town, right? So it wasn't just that he had these employees who were creating this product that he wanted to make affordable and approachable to everyone. It was really about the community feeling. So one of the things I love to encourage guests to do is, as you're walking in to our front gate, kind of going through Hershey's Chocolate Town, is to look down. So we created, as part of our expansion in 2020, 27 gold medallions that sit kind of in our entrance plaza in the shape of a Reese's cup, of course. And it speaks to some of the incredible historical assets that he left for us to enjoy. So whether it was Hersheypark, Hershey Theater, the incredible Hotel Hershey, Hersheypark Stadium, all of these things that he created back in, as early as the 1900s are still there for guests to enjoy today. And now we welcome millions of guests from all over the world. And we're really living his legacy. So a lot of people may not realize that whether you're riding our coasters or coming to our concerts or seeing a Hershey Bears game, all of that goes back to the Milton Hershey School. So we like to joke that Milton Hershey's story is straight out of Hollywood, but he was a philanthropist before that word existed. At the height of his chocolate fortune, he gave it all away to create the Milton Hershey School, and that remains our core purpose. So I know for so many of our team members, that's why we wake up in the morning. That's why we love to help guests create memories, because all of that goes back to help the Milton Hershey School help their students live productive and fulfilling lives, just as Mr. Hershey intended over 100 years ago.
Obviously, as we've touched on several times already, the history is very important. But how does Hersheypark maintain a balance between the classic attractions and the new innovative stuff today?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that, because I think that balance is what makes us unique. We still have incredible rides that date back generations, like the Carousel and the Comet, so that generation of rider can enjoy those same experiences. But we also want to blend that with things that can only exist in Hershey. And so to do that, we're constantly looking for ways to build our roller coaster collection. We think that it's pretty strong, that it's one of the most iconic on the Northeast. So we're looking for things that can only exist here as part of a larger collection of our experiences. So whether we're kind of adding our biggest, screaming swing in the world, or, continuing to innovate with coasters, wanting to have the duality of the nostalgia as well as things that are new has been, at the core of who we are for probably the last 30 or 40 years. And we've experienced some pretty significant growth probably over the last decade, adding about 6 coasters, new culinary experiences, so if you haven't been in a while, you have to come back. You will barely recognize the front entrance. Of course, Hershey's Chocolate Town was a $150 million expansion that completely changed the look of the park. So we're really excited to hear if guests are like, oh, I haven't been there since I was a kid. We beg you to come back and see how we've grown.
All right, before we delve into the rides that you have there at Hersheypark, and it's a great collection of rides, let's talk about the culinary experience. that you have. Talk about some of the different restaurants and how that enhances the guest experience.
Yeah. So my first thought is what we added just a few years ago in 2021, the Chocolatier restaurant, bar, and patio. It's the largest restaurant in Hershey and just such a place. If you're someone who's into amusement park history, you have got to dine there. So we have a carousel bar. We have tilt-a-whirl booths. Our Comet booths actually have seat belts. So as you kind of sit there and enjoy your meal, you can strap in literally. And just beautiful panoramic views of Hersheypark and Hersheypark Stadium. So that's a unique dining experience that you won't find anywhere else. There's hints of chocolate in the menu. Best place to get a signature chocolate martini, which you can get at any of the restaurants across our incredible destination. But the culinary experience is so important to our team that we continue to think of ways to outdo ourselves. So if you've eaten at Hersheypark, I'd love to know what some of your favorites are. But certainly a lot of our guests love our king size shakes and our Ferris wheel appetizers and more to come with our Halloween food guide too.
Yeah, the shakes are amazing.
They definitely are. They're almost architectural or feats of, kind of engineering because it's like desserts piled on top of another milkshake. They're award winning. We love to come up with different flavors every season. The culinary team is always inspired by, kind of the new ride. So when we launched Wildcats Revenge, there were a lot of cocktails and food that spoke to that. So they really get so creative. And when chocolate is at your heart, there isn't a bad thing, I think, that they could serve throughout the park for sure.
So you mentioned like chocolate martini and stuff like that, and I'm sure. Let's just accept the fact that you probably have the dessert part down. It's in the name. So what other like culinary foods are some of your favorites that aren't like dessert oriented?
Yeah, so I think going back to the chocolatier, the way that they've worked chocolate into savory dishes that's really flavorful. So the short ribs that have a chocolate glaze, some of the things that have a chocolate barbecue sauce to the wings, truffle mac and cheese that has a chocolate drizzle. It's not in your face chocolate, but if you want it, it's definitely there. And a lot of the recipes were inspired by collaborations with the Milton Hershey School. So, for example, chicken and waffles is one of our favorite entrees, definitely more sophisticated than you might think, but that's a nod to what was rumored to be Mr. Hershey's favorite dish. We're making our own house-made ice cream downstairs. There's a confectionery kitchen. The fudge there was up for a brass ring award through IAPA. And that's just kind of before you even get in the front gate, those are all the things you get to experience. So we continue to add to our vegetarian options, our gluten-friendly options, looking at food trucks that allow us to bring in flavors of different cultures, add more value to our dining plans. We're really excited about the Halloween tasting pass. So I got a sneak peek, and unfortunately for my waistline, I wanted to try all 30 of the items that are there. So you can check out our food-specific Instagram page. Hersheypark Eats has a lot of those sneak peeks for the Halloween season, but that's when you can tell they get really creative. So, inspired by the season, cocktails that kind of disappear into smoke, some really savory options. Like they have a TV dinner that looks like it's Salisbury steak under plastic, which is a nod to our new Estate of Evil theme. I mean, they're really like mad geniuses in the kitchen. So it's exciting to be able to highlight that each season because it's so unusual.
Right now, let's talk roller coasters. When you first walk into the park, what I was drawn to when I went there last year for your Christmas event was Candymonium. It's your tallest, your fastest, your longest, and sweetest coaster at Hersheypark. So talk about this ride.
Yeah, so Candymonium is an incredible coaster. It's the first thing you see as you walk in the Hersheypark front gate, and I love to stand and watch people literally stop in their tracks as it takes a panoramic curve around the Kisses Fountain, which is so unique to us, leveraging the 3 trains from the Hershey Company brands of chocolate and Twizzler and Reese's. There's no other coaster like it, certainly tallest, longest, fastest. It'll always hold a lot of memories for me since we opened it in the middle of a global pandemic. But a really exciting coaster for us, thrilling, smooth, all the things you love about B&M right there at the front of the park. So definitely a fan favorite. And I always like to share a little bit of trivia because the track is painted chocolate brown. We measured if you were to take Hershey bars and line them up across the track, it would be the equivalent of 10,279 Hershey milk chocolate bars. So take that to your next cocktail party as some unique trivia.
Yeah, you're gonna win a bar tab with that one.
Exactly right. Martinis. We have a theme. We always have a theme in Hershey.
Now, talking about this coaster, if you're someone that enjoys taking photos of rides and roller coasters in particular, I mean, this one is picturesque.
Oh, yes. Thank you for saying so. I think that moment when you're at the Kisses Fountain and it's coming around is so impactful. A lot of people like to stop and get photos there. We usually have some characters in that kind of area. In the summer, that's where our Sweet Notes band was playing. So it's just a great thing to really capture the energy of what the rest of the park holds for you when you see this incredible hyper coaster right in front of you. So definitely a photo worthy moment.
So another one of the coasters that Hershey's kind of known for is Sky Rush. Now, Sky Rush was very polarizing up until recently.
What?
No.
Well,
and I mean that honestly, because there were some people that they called it thigh crush and stuff, and it's a problem that a lot of trains have, that it clamps down on you. But other people are like, I don't care about that. It's the best coaster ever. You guys recently did a renovation on it. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, for sure. So that's one of the things that we are always listening to guest feedback. And so we wanted to make some changes, partnered obviously with Intamin about trying to figure out how we could not lessen the intensity, but provide for a little more guest comfort. So we do have the new restraints on there, and we took that as an opportunity to do some new theming as well. So now we're saying that Sky Rush, you fly first class. So there are new themes to the coaster station, new lights, new sounds. You're really feeling like you're kind of in an airport in the best way possible. You're about to fly through the sky. And guests have said that we got it right? We didn't ruin it by, lessening the thrill, but it's a lot more comfortable to enjoy, which is what we want. And certainly still one of the most intense coasters in our collection for sure, and probably across the Northeast. That's the one coaster we hear a lot from our guests who are European who want to come, and that's the one they're trying because they've heard how amazing it is. That and Wildcat's Revenge will give it a run for its money for top coaster. Talk about polarizing, trying to pick, kind of what coasters are 1 and 2 is like me trying to pick, between my children. So.
Well, for me, number 1 at your park is a classic. It's the Comet. It's long been one of my favorite wooden coasters. You put new trains on it this year, but talk about the historical significance of the Comet and how it has remained a favorite among guests through the years.
Yeah, sure. So Comet is our oldest continuously operating coaster, added to the park in 1946, and it's actually the very last coaster that was purchased by Milton Hershey himself. So certainly something that is special to us. Classic wooden coaster. Generations of riders have enjoyed that over the years. It's one of those coasters where when you ride it for the first time, you feel like you've hit a milestone. So that's another great spot to stand and watch, kids come off and just be so elated by their first, coaster experience. So for this season, we did add some new trains, partnered with Custom Trains from PTC, who's such a good partner of ours, located right here in Pennsylvania as well. So kind of going back to its origins in celestial theme. So the cars are blue and they have this great star pattern that extends across several of the panels, and just a really exciting new logo. So things like that, hopefully demonstrate how much we care about the history of our rides. Back to your earlier question, how do we blend the old and the new? Sometimes we make the old feel new with some of these new experiences. So definitely Comet and Sky Rush got a bit of a facelift, and our guests have shared how much they enjoy those.
So speaking of old things becoming new, Wildcat's Revenge. So it's an RMC conversion, won the Golden Ticket Award for Best New Roller Coaster of 2023. So it's been very, very successful. Can you talk about the decision-making process going into reimagining Wildcat as Wildcat's Revenge?
Yeah, so definitely we were so honored by our first Golden Ticket Award. We had wanted to work with RMC for years. We had heard our guests begging us to do that. So we took a lot of time and care with our first hybrid to make sure that we got it right. So, we worked with RMC and we said, yes, we know you have all these signature moves. We want them all together. And it doesn't let up from start to finish. Super smooth, but really intense. And I think if people don't realize that there is a unique history of Wildcat, that was something that we wanted to build into as well. So the Wildcat was the first coaster that Milton Hershey added to the park all the way back in 1923. So here we were 100 years later, and the steel version of it was taking vengeance on the wooden version. But we found ways to work in, obviously, the wooden track from our incredible partners with GCI, figuring out little ways to take parts of that wood and put it in the sign. It has an incredible light package. The gable design of the coaster station is actually very similar to what would have existed in 1923. So the team is always looking for ways to give those little nods to history in something that is so new and exciting. And the reaction from our guests has just been incredible. Another fun spot to watch guests kind of race to the back of the park now so that they can get their rides on it. So we couldn't be happier that our first hybrid was such a success.
Yeah, I absolutely love this ride when I rode it last year when I visited, and you're right. I mean, you take the best elements that RMC has done on their other coasters, and it's everything that you want is in this one ride. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah, we could not be happier, with it. And again, I think it goes back to, we celebrated last summer 100 years of coasters at Hersheypark. We really do try to provide a wide mix of coaster experiences, for family-friendly coasters to things that have a little bit more intensity, to the smoothness of Great Bear and Candemonium and Fahrenheit, and Storm Runner is such a cult favorite too. So we're thrilled that people can find something that they really enjoy among our 15.
Now, one of your most historic rides is the Carousel. It's now 105 years old. What has made this ride? It's known as PTC number 47. Just so special for generations of guests at Hersheypark.
Well, I think you hit on it. It's the generations of guests, and the fact that I know that the same horses that I rode when I went with my grandmother are the ones that I get to ride with my children is so special. So as part of our Hershey's Chocolate Town expansion, we moved the carousel to a front of prominence right there at the front gate. A lot of our guests say it's their first or last ride of their day with us. And it is just, the craftsmanship up close is tremendous. And we feel like now it is kind of in a good showcase spot for guests to appreciate it. To have all 66 original horses, a lot of guests don't realize that. And we're so proud of the work that's done in the off season to keep them looking really good for 105 years old.
Yeah, they don't look a day over 100, trust me.
Exactly.
So, speaking of, you mentioned the Carousel, the Comet, a bunch of these older rides that are, older than our grandparents in a lot of cases.
Sure.
Talk about the process and the work that it takes to preserve these rides, to not only make sure that they're available, but that they're still fun and comfortable for generations moving forward.
Yeah, well, I would love to just kind of brag on our maintenance team to answer that question, because I think they're some of the best in the industry, just so passionate about what they do. 200 highly skilled electricians, plumbers, carpenters, the artisans who every year, every horse comes off the carousel, comes back into the shop and is hand painted to its original glory, I think speaks to the care that they provide to every one of our rides. So safety, of course, top of mind. And our priority, but also that sense of pride in craftsmanship. So many of our rides, like Trailblazers, 50 years old, a lot of our rides actually outlive sometimes their manufacturers. So our team finds incredible ways to make parts, and they know those rides inside and out. And I just can't say enough about our operations and attractions team for ensuring that some of these classics are here for the long haul.
And Quinn, we've talked about your thrill rides with the different roller coasters, but you have a nice collection of rides for the little ones. I was very impressed with that. You've got the little mini scrambler, the little carousel with the horses and buggies and that. So talk about that, just all the things there are to do for, families that have the little ones.
Yeah, sure. So we really pride ourselves on trying to have something for everyone. So from mild to wild, and guests who are 3 and under do receive free admission. So depending on their height category, there could be as many as 20 to 30 rides that are a good fit for them. So what's unique about Hersheypark is the design of our regions ensures that there's kiddie rides, and then right next to them are high thrill rides or coasters. So a family never has to separate to enjoy their day at the park. So if you've got teenagers who want to ride one thing, and then you've got, little preschoolers, they can all stay in the same area and kind of share that experience together, which I think as a mom is certainly really helpful too. And so, the theming has increased over the years, but there's a significant number of family attractions that provide such incredible views. So whether it's the Ferris wheel or our kissing tower, which goes 300, feet into the air, the tallest, point in Hershey, the monorail, which was my grandmother's favorite ride because you kind of got to see everything as you went over the zoo and different regions of the park. The railroad, we really love to watch families have fun together. So things like Reese's Cup Fusion was a great, family ride. We have zero depth splash pads in the water park. So we definitely never wanted to be a park that was geared towards just one demographic. We want to offer it all to our guests. And it's so exciting to see kids come back year over year and measure up against our candy height categories. And once they reach that new height level, they've unlocked all these new rides to try. It's incredible to see that year over year.
That's awesome. So Dark Nights at Hersheypark Halloween returns Friday, September 13th. Friday the 13th, for those of you keeping track at home, with more haunting dates than ever before. So I had to think a while for that one. For 25 days, including Halloween night, darkness will fall from coaster to coaster. All new terrors will be introduced, and never before seen characters will find you, whether you're ready or not. Talk about what guests will expect when they visit Hersheypark to experience this Halloween event.
Well, I think you covered a lot of it there. Hersheypark Halloween has been something that we've offered for 30 years or so, but we continue to get feedback from our guests that they really wanted us to consider adding scare. So that's what we did. We debuted Dark Nights in 2022, and it was an incredible success, and we continue to build on it. So we're excited to offer 8 weekends, including Halloween night. So we're going to run from September 13th, Friday the 13th, through November 3rd this year, so more days than ever. We have a brand new haunted house, A State of Evil, which I got a sneak peek of and is pretty scary. It kind of focuses on the 7 deadly sins and what happens to you if you're a victim in one of their rooms. And, that just continues to add to the fun. It was our most significant investment in a seasonal event to date when it debuted, and I think it shows. We really wanted to enter the space and get it right from the start. So we're thrilled when people compliment, the sliders and the entertainment and the detail in the houses, that we continue to evolve all the storylines. So if you visited us last year, we have some of those houses, but there's new characters, there's new themes. You're not going to be bored, of course, in any of those. And so, as we continue to build on those, the thrill kind of experiences, we've got Lights Out on coasters, which is a unique coaster credit we know a lot of guests enjoy. We have new light packages, new entertainment, but we're also thinking about people who may not like the scare element as well. So we have trick-or-treating through the park. For our youngest guests, we have Shake, Rattle, and Glow, which is a great character dance party. Our characters actually mark 50 years this year, so only place in the world where you can get a selfie with a huge Hershey bar or Kiss or Reese's, and of course they're in their Halloween costumes too. And then the food as part of the season is spectacular. So Dark Nights, we have Spirits Rooftop Deck at the Chocolatier. So that patio experience has a ton of interesting food to it. Tasting Pass. So we're thrilled to continue to invest in those experiences. And we would love for everyone to spend Friday the 13th and every Friday during Halloween, kind of with us as we gear up. So if you too haven't visited yet for the new scare experience, would love to get your take. Sounds like, based on your I was jealous of your vacations planned. I'm like, I'm just going to Hersheypark this weekend. But I love that you have all that experience and trips planned too.
Yeah, we certainly want
Don, I think you just did my job for me. That's all the things. Yeah, so 5 million lights is the most in Pennsylvania. We do count to make sure that we can stake that claim. So that it just creates a really magical environment to walk through. Every area of the park is just covered in lights. And some of the ride experiences feel really unique based on that time of year. So if you're riding Skyview, which is our gondola style ride that goes over Spring Creek, you see the light show Time to Music reflected in the water. There's this huge, 50-foot Christmas tree. Of course, it's a Christmas, not a Christmas tree. You're holding our signature hot chocolate. It just, tradition is definitely the word we hear. So it's been a holiday tradition for so many families for 40 years now, and we don't take that lightly. So we're always trying to think of what we can add to enhance the experience. So last year we added Wildcats Revenge, weather permitting, to our coaster lineup. So we do still have 6 to 7 coasters that can run, and a lot of the kiddie rides can operate then too. So we love to see families get bundled up and come out and join us. There's character experiences as well. But, the reindeer for me are incredible. And so we're the only place in the Northeast to have all 9. Santa trusts only Hersheypark to take care of them. He actually trusts our team over at Zoo America to take great care of them. And I am lucky enough to be there when they kind of jump off the truck from the North Pole, of course. And every year it takes my breath away because you kind of forget that they're real animals. They just feel so magical. So I'm so glad that you got a chance to experience that feeling. What you felt is exactly what we want all of our guests to feel when they join us, that they're just overwhelmed, hopefully, with the Christmas spirit. And we're excited to have that kick off November 15th, and it'll run through January 1st this year. So another good reason to mark your calendars and plan a trip to us.
So Hersheypark is a piece of the puzzle when it comes to the Hershey, Pennsylvania area. Can you tell us about the other Hershey attractions that are there and kind of give us a brief rundown on how they all fit into the sweetest experience on earth trademark?
Yes, man, you got my quota for tomorrow too. Thanks, Ryan. We are a world-class destination, and it's kind of funny when people, obviously they know about Hersheypark, but they don't really realize the extent of the other experiences until they're here, until they stay at one of our resort properties, or they see a concert or go to a Bears game. And that's kind of, as head of destination communications, I love to tell that story even more. So, we've got these 3 incredible entertainment venues, Broadway shows at the Hershey Theater, incredible acts that come through Giant Center, home to our Calder Cup champions. So our Hershey Bears, they're the oldest franchise in the AHL, and they're back-to-back Calder Cup champions, which we're so excited about. So if you have never been to a Hershey Bears game, you haven't really been to a hockey game. Our fans really bleed, kind of the chocolate and white, and their energy is electric. And our players will say, that's why we win championships, because our fans are, that supportive. And that energy, is throughout our property. So Hersheypark Stadium is celebrating its 85th anniversary. So yet this summer, into September, we still have the likes of Stevie Nicks, Post Malone, Green Day. We have Pink coming. So it's our longest summer concert series ever. And we're so excited that so many incredible artists choose to make a stop. So what's unique about that venue is you can be riding coasters all day and then, kind of rocking out to a show at night. And if you stay at any of our resort properties, so we have Hersheypark Camping Resort, we have the Hershey Lodge, and then we also have the Hotel Hershey, which is our historic hotel and certainly 4 Diamond property. You get to experience some other elements of the destination. So you get free tickets to the Hershey Gardens. The Hershey Story is the museum that's dedicated to the life of Milton Hershey. So we're really building on this idea that we want you to come. There's so much to see and do. You have to stay overnight with us. But certainly, visit our friends at Chocolate World across the street right next to us there. You really need to make a getaway out of it. And we're thrilled to see more and more guests doing more than just a road trip. They're really making a point to come and spend several days throughout Hershey.
You mentioned the Hershey Bears. I had an opportunity to see a number of games there when I was working in the American Hockey League. I did that for 18 years. I think in all the years that we went to Hershey, the teams I worked for, we might have won 2 games. in Hershey. Very tough place to play
Sorry,
because, yeah,
it
well, I
is.
mean, just like you
Yeah.
said, I mean, the fans are, so into it and so supportive of the Bears and just a lot of energy and everything. And it was just really tough for visiting teams to play there. And I'm talking about Giants Center. But let's go back to the Hersheypark Arena. That was the first place I saw Bears games, and it's still that building still stands there. But obviously the Bears don't play there anymore. But what's it used for today?
Yeah, so incredible historic landmark dating all the way back to 1936, I believe. So still used as a multi-purpose sports venue. So we have local hockey clubs that use it. Public skating occurs, kind of in there, and it's also home to Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. So there's a piece of the basketball floor that's mounted there, and we still have kind of the Bears go in there sometimes, even though their home is now at the Giant Center. So I think when we added Hershey's Chocolate Town, it was showcased in a new way. So people got a sense of how beautiful that architecture remains. So thanks for spending some time with us. Sorry you couldn't bring home some wins, but more
No, I
important
couldn't.
to keep those in Hershey. So
Yeah, you talk about the steep drops of the roller coasters. I mean, that arena, the seating on that too was pretty steep.
it was indeed. Yeah.
Enough about hockey. I'm actually a big hockey fan, but so let's talk about the digital experience, like the Hersheypark app. How do you use things like that to improve the guest experience?
Yeah, so I think we're really intentional about making sure that guests have everything they need in the palm of their hand. So I always recommend people download the app. It shows you, you can sort rides by height category, what's open, what has the shortest wait time. You can order from some of our food locations right there in the app. There's a Take Me There feature. I think we hear a lot from guests that they're really surprised with how big we are. So we are a 121-acre park. And certainly it makes sense that people don't necessarily know where to go. So that find or take me there feature and find where you are is critical. So we always recommend that. And I think we continue to focus on technology at Qline. So our fast track a few years ago went to wristband driven. So everyone taps at a touch point, which of course is KISS themed. So we continue to look for ways to reduce friction with our guest experience. So many of our offerings now are digital, mobile tickets, of course. COVID, I think, accelerated some of those plans, but we kept it because it was so efficient and convenient. So definitely recommend the Hersheypark app. There's, links to some of our blog posts and things in there. It will tell you about some of our food offerings. So definitely a great resource I recommend.
Well, let's talk about the blog. I think when it comes to storytelling on your owned and shared channels, that Hersheypark, you guys do it exceptionally well. So talk about the Hersheypark blog and how you've used that to, essentially really become the media yourselves.
Yeah, well, thank you. That is such a huge compliment to our team. We love creating content. We believe that content that informs or inspires our guest ensures that they have a better time when they walk through our gates or stay overnight with us or visit for any of the many reasons they might come to Hershey. So we use the blog to go deeper. To showcase behind the scenes or history of a certain attraction. One of my favorite stories that I ever worked on was around Chocolate Town, and it was the brick design that was so carefully thought of to make it seem as if Milton Hershey himself had chosen, it in the 1930s. So some of the side-by-side comparisons of, if you notice, our Kiss Bell looks a lot like the tower at the Hotel Hershey. Until we presented it that way, people kind of didn't get a sense of the thought and care that was put into that architectural design. So little details like that, we love to dive a little bit deeper into. Things like the food guides are just so fun to do photo essays for, although don't work on those stories if you haven't had lunch yet, because you'll be desperate, by the end of drafting those. But we believe that, content, across our destination is something that people crave. So whether it's tips on how to make the most of your visit, or why Hershey is the best place for kids, those listicles, things like that, that content helps our guests know what to expect and how to maximize their time in Hershey. So we love telling that story, and there's so many things. Hopefully you pick up on how passionate we are about the unique offerings that only exist in the sweetest place on earth. There we go. I think that's 3. So I'm good through the weekend. And we're really proud of those stories. And a lot of them are written in response to guest questions or guest concerns, or they want us to go deeper on something. So we love the social media and content element of telling our story and being able to link that back to our founder and really get into why we're the place where fun meets chocolate.
So just to wrap things up, Quinn, if someone's interested in more information on Hersheypark, like maybe purchasing tickets or finding or finding information on your Christmas or Halloween events or Hersheypark Hotel, where's the best place to go?
All the things. Definitely Hersheypark.com is the best place for tickets and hours and all of this. And our social media channels also. So we're Hersheypark, all one word, on X, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever social media channel they invent in the future, we'll try to be on that and provide some great information to our guests. And then HersheyPA.com is another good resource across the destination.
That's perfect. Well, we really appreciate you being on the show. It's quite an honor, and congratulations. Let's show one more time. Twizzlers Twisted Gravity. I'm super excited. I love this type of ride.
Oh, I'm so glad, Ryan. Thank you for that feedback. And what perfect timing. I know it was years in the making, but we had a lot of ground to cover. And I was just waiting until I had enough good stuff done.
Well, you did. You did. I mean, it timed out well.
Yeah. I had to make sure we delivered. So we're thrilled. Really honored to speak with you.
You certainly did. You made a very sweet interview appearance.
Thank you both. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Quinn. All right, Hersheypark.com for your chocolate needs, your sweet needs, whatever. Quinn, thank you once again. Stick around. We got the Pick 6 coming up next.